Hello there and welcome to Black Jackal Gaming. We're going to take a look at the Primaris Outrider Squad. This is one of the fast attack units in the Space Marines Codex. It's a fast melee unit with 12 inches of speed. It's pretty average strength and damage in melee, so it's not going to be targeting your elite units. It does have an ability for an auto advance rather than rolling the d6, and it can take an ATV for extra range damage, but there is only one character that can join the unit. So the squad comes in either 95 or 190 points, and you can take between 3 or 6 Outriders, and you can take an ATV, just the one of them, for an additional 70 points. So they move 12 inches, toughness 5, which is quite nice, a 3-up save, they've got 4 wounds and the ATV has 8 wounds, the leadership 6 and the objective control 2, which is quite nice. The ranged ability is ballistic skill 3. They come with a heavy bolt pistol, with the pistol keyword. It's 18 inches, 1 shot, strength 4, -1 AP, 1 damage. The ATV only comes with a normal bolt pistol, so it's the 12-inch range and you don't get the -1 AP. They both come with the twin bolt rifle, which is twin linked, 24-inch range, 2 shots, strength 4, -1 AP, 1 damage. The twin linked allows you to reroll the wound roll. Then you've got 2 options with the ATV, either the multi-melter, which comes with a melter 2 keyword, so when you're within melter range, you get +2 to your damage. So the melter is 2 shots at 18-inch range, strength 9, -4 AP, d6 damage, and that +2 if you're at 9 inches. Then the onslaught Gatling cannon. This comes with a devastating wounds keyword, so any wounds, critical wounds of a 6 will bypass the save throw. This is 24-inch range, 8 attacks, strength 5, 0 AP unfortunately, and 1 damage. So they've got a fair amount of low strength firepower that they can push out before they charge into a unit. The option of taking the onslaught Gatling cannon is quite good if you are targeting the more low toughness profiles, so that strength 5, 8 attacks with the devastating wounds is quite nice, but having the multi-melter in there does add a certain threat level to the unit because you can get around the board quite quickly. For their melee attacks, they have weapon skill 3 and they come equipped with the Astartes chainsword. This is 4 attacks at -1 AP, strength 4, 1 damage. And the ATV is equipped with a close combat weapon, which is 5 attacks, strength 4, 0 AP, 1 damage. So as you can see from the strength and the AP and the damage characteristic of the melee, they are going to be more targeting your T3 bodies really, rather than your more elite infantry units, your Space Marines, your Terminators, your Wraith Guards, things like that. You're not really going to be targeting those units with the Outrider Squad. They do have a nice ability called Turbo Boost. What this allows you to do, instead of rolling a d6 to advance, you auto advance up to 6 inches instead, which is quite nice. So you've got a bit more consistency into your move value, which is quite nice when you come along to doing your charges, so you can more predict exactly where you can make your charges. And unlike in 9th edition, they don't have any form of a deadly demise, so they will not explode upon death. So what buffs and combos can you give the Outrider Squad? Well, there's only one leader that can join them, and that's the Chaplain on the bike. He is a Primaris unit. It's quite a nice kit as well. Quite good to put together and looks quite awesome. He's not as good as he was in 9th edition, so he's not going to bring a lot of combat capability because he's only got a strength 6, -1, 2 damage weapon. But the buffs he can give the unit is quite nice. He'll give them +1 to their wound roll. So when you are targeting slightly tougher units such as your Space Marines or your Terminators, instead of wounding on 4s and 5s, you're going to be wounding on 3s and 4s. And when you're targeting your T3 bodies, you're going to be wounding them on 2s, so that's quite nice. And then when you're within 12 inches of an enemy unit, you can select one of these enemy units per phase, and your ranged weapons will have devastating wounds against this unit, which is quite nice. So there's a couple of detachments you can use. The first one being the Gladius Task Force. So a part of their assault doctrine allows you to advance and charge. You can only use this once a turn, but there is a stratagem to reuse another another doctrine for a unit during a different turn. So there are the options of doing that. And then there's the Honor the Chapter strat, which when used, this gives them the Lance keyword, which is +1 to wound. So if you don't have the chaplain, that's quite nice. And if you are in the Assault Doctrine, it's +1 to the AP of your weapons. So you'd be -2 AP on your chainswords. Then you've got the Vanguard Spearhead. So when you're outside of 12 inches, you're -1 to hit, and you gain the benefit of cover. So you can use this unit more of a board control unit or scoring unit, where you can get into the opposition's deployment zone, or you can take early objectives to score you those vital victory points. And when you're outside of the 12 inches, you're going to get +1 to your save for AP1 and above, and -1 to hit, so you can stay around for a bit longer. Then there's a stratagem called Strike for Shadows, which really feeds into this outside of 12 inch. You improve your ballistic skill and AP for your ranged weapons. So you're then going to be hitting on 2s with your bolt rifles, and they're going to be -2 AP, which is quite nice. That's quite nice if you've got the Gatling cannon in there as well, because now you've got AP for the Gatling cannon, which was 0 AP, so you're going to punch through armor a little bit easier. Next up, we have the Firestorm Assault Force. You gain the Assault keyword, which is quite nice because your bolt rifles don't have them. So you can use your auto advance 6 and still fire your weapons with no penalty. And if you're targeting something within 12 inches, it's +1 strength. And then on top of this, you can use Crucible of Battle stratagem, which if you target the closest eligible unit within 6 inches, you get +1 to wound. So you're pretty much going to be going into, say, something like a Terminator. You're going to be wounding them on your 3s rather than your 5s when you're targeting them with your bolt rifles, which is quite nice. Especially with that -1 AP, you are going to be punching through their armor a little bit more than you generally expect. And then when you're targeting things with your multi-melter, you're now up to strength 10 and +1 to wound. So everything in the game, you can be wounded on really 4s, what you're going to be targeting, maybe 3s, depending on what you're targeting. So it adds a little bit more oomph to your firepower. And then last, we have Stormlance Task Force, which is basically a detachment that's been made for mounted units. So their task force ability is advance and charge and fall back and charge. So you've got the option of having a lot of first turn pressure, where you can get first turn charges in. You can really dictate where you want to counter punch in the game, because you do have that ability to fall back and advance and charge. And then there's quite a few stratagems that are quite nice. So you've got Shock Assault, which allows you to re-roll the charge roll and gains the Lance keyword. So if you don't have a chaplain with you, you're still going to get that +1 to wound with the Lance keyword. So you're going to start off with your 12-inch movement, your auto 6-inch advance, you're on 18 inches, then you've got a re-roll to your charge roll. So you're really going to be averaging your 7 and your 8s there. So you're potentially getting up to 26 inches with +1 to wound on your first turn, which is really nice. Then there's Blitzen Fusillade stratagem, which you gain the assault keyword to your ranged weapons. So again, like with the Firestorm Task Force, where you're getting the assault keyword, it allows you to really push on and use your advance ability and still fire your weapons. And you've got the multi-melter, you can do a fair bit of damage with that. Then there's the Full Throttle stratagem, which changes your auto advance of 6 inches to 9 inches as you're a mounted unit. So it gives you that just option to really charge up in turns 1 and 2 and apply pressure to your opposition. And then finally, we have the Windswift Evasion stratagem. This allows you to move 6 inches in your opponent's turn when you're within 9 inches of them, once they've completed a fallback advance or a normal move. There is another option out there as well. If you take the ATV separately, it has the ability to shoot back at a unit that's fired out your Outriders. But anytime I've taken this as an option rather than within the unit, it's never had the ability to fire back, because people they sit outside of the range if you've got the multi-melter outside of the 18 inches, or they just target the ATV first. So you can use it as a shield if you don't want the Outriders to actually be targeted. And maybe they overcommit to it and there's some wasted damage, but all in all, it's generally not worth taking. So the Outriders, they're a decent unit. They did take a little bit of a points drop recently. I can imagine they're going to take another points drop to get the best out of them. If you want them to be a combat unit, you do need the chaplain with them with the 6 the 6 men in the unit, which then starts getting quite pricey. So either the chaplain has to come down a bit or the Outriders need to come down a bit, but it's still quite a competitive unit if you want to use it for early board control, stealing objectives, potentially late in the game getting in your deployment, or even early game getting into the deployment zone of the opposition to score things such as behind enemy lines. So they are more of a point scoring and board control unit the majority of the time, unless you put the chaplain in there with them. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any comments, then pop them below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button as it greatly helps the channel. Hit the subscribe button to see any future Warhammer content. Take it easy and see you next time for more grim darkness from the 41st millennium.